start it over again. Okay. So what are ethics? What is ethics? Basically differentiating good and bad, right? Right and wrong. That's what is ethics, right? Again, what is the definition? Business ethics are moral principles that guide business and decision making. So this is now business has to be done ethically. There was a thought before that business is different, ethics are different, business people are not supposed to be ethical. Those thoughts are gone. Those thoughts are gone. Now, if you see internal controls and ethics was once a choice for companies, right? Internal control also was same, like it was pretty much optional for companies. Not anymore, right? After the 2000 uh, uh, issues, 2000, 2001, 2002 issues, Sarbanes-Oxley Act came in, COSO came in with many of the provisions, right? Section 404, Section 402, ethical, you know, uh, uh, basically, all the finance people in the entity are supposed to be ethical. They have to have a code of ethics. They have to report, if they don't have a code of ethics. So basically, it has become mandatory now, right? Specifically for issuer companies. Not anymore easy for companies, not anymore a choice for companies. Businesses are to be supposed to be ethical. Okay, and that's the reason if you see the FCPA Act of 1977, right? What is this particular act? It prevents US companies and its subsidiaries to pay bribes to foreign governmental officials, okay, in a foreign country. Okay, that's again ethical criterias that put forward to US companies, specifically issuer companies, right? So these are not any more choice, and that's the reason we are discussing this in section F of part 2, right? So we know that ethics, most of these words are from Greek, right? Because they were the pioneers of ethics. They started off, um, you know, uh, philosophies and great philosophers that we have from Greek. Okay, Aristotle, Plato, all these people, right? So business started talking about ethics in the 1960s. Okay, when regulators understood, okay, this is going to be a messy world without ethics. That's when people started off with ethics, okay, relating to business, right? And discussions are became very serious in 2000, where they found a lot of scams like Tyco, WorldCom, all these scams came up in 2000, okay, in the year 2000. That's when they understood ethics is has to be made mandatory. Okay, it's not any more choice for companies because a lot of people lost their lot of wealth in those scams. Okay, and the bottom line was the top management were losing on ethical values. And that's the reason COSO came up with, ethics guidelines. Okay, Sarbanes-Oxley Act came up with a lot of ethical and internal control, policies, procedures, and everything. And that's the reason we're discussing this, right? So we have a lot of moral philosophical thoughts. Okay, we have something called a teleology, something called deontology, something called virtue ethics, something called relativism, something called utilitarianism, something called justice. All these are there, right? Uh, Something called justice. Yeah. So these are the things that we're going to discuss. These are certain streams of moral philosophies. Okay. Certain streams of moral philosophies that we're going to discuss. So, what is teleology? What is teleology? Teleology comes from a word, Greek word, telos. Okay, what does telos means? Uh, Ultimate goal. Okay, outcome. Okay, end effect. These are the word meaning of telos. So, which means what? This is a moral philosophy which believes on that the outcome has to be ethical. The outcome has to be good. Okay, if the outcome is good, any action that you take to reach the outcome is always good. Okay, so whatever your action that you take, maybe that may not be ethical now, but if the outcome is good, then that action is always regarded as ethical action. Okay, so the focus is on the outcome. Now if you come into deontology, this is just opposite. Okay, deontology comes from a word deon, which means duty. So this philosophy believes in that whatever be the outcome, okay, whatever be the effect of an action, the current action has to be ethical. Okay, maybe if you take a current ethical action, okay, right now what you take is an ethical action, but the outcome because of that action could be wrong. But that's okay. Okay, I'm not going to take a mistake. I'm not going to make a mistake. I'm not going to make a mistake now. Okay, maybe if I tell a lie, probably the outcome is going to be good. All right, if I tell a lie, uh, it's a mistake now, but the outcome is going to be good. But a deontological person does not believe on that. Okay, he believes that doing a wrong thing today or right now is wrong. Therefore, I'm not going to do that. Okay, so basically, that's exactly the opposite thought on teleology, right? Now, if you come to virtue ethics, what is virtue ethics? Basically, this is a thought which believes that only a virtuous person can be ethical. Okay, which means that okay, not everybody can be ethical. This is what this thought says. Okay, it says that if you're born virtuous or you're a virtuous person, then only you can be ethical. Others can be ethical at times, but ultimately, they may not be ethical in all circumstances. Okay, but a virtuous person will do every time ethical actions. Okay, and an ethical action is regarded ethical or ethically right only if a virtuous person would do the same thing in that circumstances. So whatever action a virtuous person does, okay, that action is always ethical. That's what is virtue ethics means. Okay, basically it focuses on character of person. Okay, character of a person. Now relativism. Okay, another thought, another moral philosophy. Relativism speaks about that there is no universal set of moral principles for ethics exist. It believes that ethics do change every time. Okay, so ethics will change across time, across borders. Which means what? Certain actions could have been ethical in the previous years, may not be ethical now. Okay, what you do today may not have been ethical in some years back, right? In the same way, what is ethical in one country may not be ethical in a different country, right? So it says that ethics is ever changing stuff. Okay, it never stays okay stagnant. It is never stagnant. It changes. So probably you could say that, a couple of years back, maybe 10 years, 15 years back, same sex marriage. was regarded as a pretty bad thing, right? Or these days, you see in India, in most of the countries, you see a lot of you know people doesn't care about it. Okay, people think it's normal. Okay, it's normal. For example, living together. Okay, living together without having getting married. Okay, maybe 20 years back it was a talk. These days, these are normal. Okay, so that's what relativism is all about. Okay, people believe that ethics does not, stay intact. It changes as the time goes by. It changes as as geographic changes. Okay, when you come across to another country, it changes. Something which is morally or ethically correct in the US may not be ethically correct in Afghanistan or maybe in Saudi Arabia, right? So that's what is relativism believes on. It changes, right? Next is utilitarianism. Okay, another thought. What is utilitarianism? Utilitarianism believes that if any action that can bring happiness to the majority of people, that action is always ethical. Okay, even if it brings a little sadness to or little hardships to the minority, it's okay as long as more number of people, greater number of people are happy. It's always going to be ethical. Okay, that's what utilitarianism believes on. Okay, more happiness to more people. Okay, if any action. So if you kill a person who was a don, right? You know, uh, these people believes that okay, killing someone by killing him, if it brings happiness to majority of people, to the majority of the population, then killing him was not a bad thing. You guys are getting it, right? Utilitarianism believes in that. This theory values maximizing positive effects such as welfare or happiness. The morally right decision is the one that maximizes these positive effects. The general principle is that the greatest happiness to the greatest number of people is a measure of right or wrong decisions. Okay, utilitarianism. Next is justice. Okay, justice believes on every individual should be given what he deserves. Okay, for example, let's say someone comes and works for you from 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the evening. Okay, you should pay him for so many hours worked. Let's say someone else comes and works from 2 o'clock till 5 o'clock, just 3 hours. Okay, he should only get paid for the hours that 3 hours that he worked. He shouldn't be paid the same way that the earlier person was paid. Okay, so that's what is justice by the thought justice is. The most common interpretation of justice is that equals should be treated equally and unequals should be treated unequally. Okay, so it's against this particular thought is against discriminations and things like that. Okay, you cannot really discriminate people on the basis of sex, age, uh, sexual orientation, race, religion, all those kind of things, right? So those are the streams of ethics. Those are the streams of ethics. Okay, utilitarianism. So let's go back and see that one more time. Teleology focuses on outcome. Deontology focuses on current action. Virtue ethics believes that only a right person or virtuous person, a righteous person can be always be ethical. Okay, relativism believes on ethics changes every time. Okay, across borders, across time. Utilitarianism believes on any action is ethical if it brings greatest happiness to greatest number of people. Justice believes on uh, equals should be treated equally, unequals should be treated unequally. Okay, so these are the so these concepts, certain concepts that influence business ethics is basically you got to be fair, you got to have integrity, you got to be doing your work with due diligence, and when you're working for a company, you have a fiduciary responsibility. Okay, because you are acting as an employee, right? So you have a you might have ethical dilemmas, but your personal interest should be below the entity's interest. All right. So these are the first sessions that we discussed in section F. Okay. Ethics for business. Okay. General principles and things like that. All right.